We appreciate y'all tuning into this episode of the Behind the Mask Podcast with Hall of Fame wide receiver and wine connoisseur Terrell Owens. Make sure you subscribe to the Behind the Mask Podcast. Follow us on social media at the BTM Podcast. Click the bell for notifications and share. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Remember, on the Behind the Mask Podcast, there's only one rule. There are no rules. Season 3, we underway. Let's go.
Let's go behind the mask.
This is one thing that I do know for sure. You're a principled dude, like always been a principled dude.
Yeah.
And it was more of that more than anything. I fast forward and then I look at some of the things that you see that's going on in our society, in particular, what we went through for the entire of 2020, just from you turning into a social activist and being on the streets in West Hollywood, marching down the street for Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd. And that part, you know, it's hard to fit that role because a lot of people will look at it from the outside looking in and say, well, why are you doing that when you easily could just be playing football? But then some people could just be like, hey, just shut up and play football. You take it as something more. You feel you have a fiduciary responsibility to address it and be one of the leaders. What drives you on the inside when it comes to the social activism?
Well, I mean, when you think about growing up in the South, and my grandmother raised me as well as my mom. My grandmother, again, she shared many things with me growing up as a kid. Me knowing and her sharing with me her story of, you know, going through the segregation era. You know, dude, it's hard for me to fathom or think that, okay, they had to go to an only black bathroom or drink from an only black water fountain, things that were designated for our color. Just think where we are now today, just like when it's men and women's bathroom. Just imagine like we today having to go to just bathroom stalls that were for us as black people. Those are some of the things that she taught me, instilled me really kind of a lot of, really kind of my inner strength and things that I had to deal with, even while playing football, and things that I was aware of that I may not have felt I had the voice to voice. And you think now the social media platforms and what Colin Kaepernick did, about 5 or 6 years ago, to really, grant a lot of us as athletes, give ourselves a voice. And so he's done that. And so with these social media platforms and what has come full circle as recent as 2020, at the hands of and the death of George Floyd, for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, I think the world got a chance to see. And they got to see when the world was sort of at a still place, and they were able to observe and see kind of what's been going on through the eyes and in the dark and behind closed doors, for us as black people and as a black community. They saw it in broad daylight in Minnesota, when the officer basically stood on this guy's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And so for me, being a black man, not really knowing really kind of where I would be or what I could do in today's society, me understanding now that I have kids, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a brother, I have a duty, to help my own. So the things that I've experienced throughout the course of my career, again, probably wouldn't have been able to shed that light or share it without being, basically greatly criticized or, just basically, accused of, false information. But now you see where we are. Me, like I said, as a black man, a father, it's my duty to be able to stand up for my people. I don't sit back and just tweet, share stories or what have you. I wanted to get on the front lines and be there for my people, because you think about the history, the lineage of who we are. There are so many that have sacrificed. There are so many that has died for us. And so I feel like I'm no different when it comes to the social injustice, the social inequality where we are in America right now, that I can't be at the forefront to do whatever I can to try to promote or promote change.
And also, man, like we've have such a responsibility to pay it forward. And I know you do a lot with other young players in terms of mentoring them. The odds are so much stacked against us, right? You talked about everything going on off the field. Takeo and I actually marched last year with our children as well, him with his daughter, me with my son. Very emotional. But again, the odds are stacked against us, right? Yeah. And then you have these people that we put trust in. We put trust in the system. We put trust in our agents. We put trust in our financial advisors. We put trust in the people around us that we think have more education than we may have had in our early 20s, right? So how do we get these young players and these young men to avoid some of the pitfalls that we've encountered in the league, knowing that, again, we put that trust out there and the odds are so much stacked against us?
Man, when you think about the odds, being stacked against us, obviously, like I said, I'm not aware of you guys' upbringing, if you had a mom and a dad in the household, but for me, I didn't have a dad. My grandmother, my mom raised me. When you talk about us being successful, entering into the National Football League, when you say enter into the National Football League, for us, that registers money, especially in the Black community. It's an opportunity to really better ourselves, better our family. Obviously, like I said, me knowing and just standing in welfare lines, obviously the WIC lines, women, infant, and children. I don't know, that may sound foreign to a lot of people, but if you grew up in that era where you were on welfare, that's what you did. Sometimes you stood in those lines. You talk about the blocks of cheese and things that they give you as you go through those lines. I familiarized myself with that. I was a part of that. When you talk about being on welfare, having food stamps and things of that nature, I was on that. My mom was on that. And so now, like I said, fast forward for me, getting into the league, I had no earthly idea what I was getting myself into. There was so much that was foreign to me. I didn't know nothing about an agent. My senior year, when I obviously knew that I had an opportunity to play at the next level, I didn't know how to handle the process. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have a dad to call and like, yo, Dad, how do I handle this situation? My grandmother she didn't even want me to play football. So it wasn't like I was calling her like, Grandma, how do I handle this situation? My mom, she really didn't know. I was just going to school for all she knew, just to play football, and I was playing basketball. So all these things came just so fast to me that I just didn't know what I was getting myself into. And you think about, my first agent, he was small. It's like a dad-son agency. It was Jam Sports, Joseph Athletic Management. They reached out. I went with them. I really didn't have a whole lot of choices. And at that time, I didn't know what was the right choice or what was not the right choice. I just went kind of like, what I was comfortable with. I saw a white guy. He had some glasses. He had a nice polo shirt on, button down. He looked smart. So I thought, okay, cool. He basically said all the right things. I'm sure you guys have heard it. And these kids growing up that are coming into the league, they're going to hear it too. We're going to take care of your best interests. We're going to have your best interests at heart. We're going to manage your finances. We're going to make sure your family is straight. We're going to make sure everything is A1. And so that's what I went to. And then after some years, like I said, separated from my first agent for a number of years. After my 8 years, going into my 9th year with San Francisco, and I switched agents. I then switched over to, they called him the Shark. Drew Rosenhaus, Drew and Jason Rosenhaus, Rosenhaus Sports Representation, RSR. I went with them. And so at that time, he was considered the Shark. Now, as I sit here today, he's a snake. If you really look at it, if I had to categorize or assess my involvement with him the short years that I did. For me, as I sit here today and I'm trying to find the right and the wrong thing to say, not to get myself in trouble, but I've thought about it, and the wrong thing to say is to say nothing, because I feel like I have a responsibility going through what I've gone through, really making the money that I've made. and Drew Rosenhaus, who basically referred a financial advisor to me by the name of Jeff Rubin, who basically really misappropriated a lot of funds, not only for myself, but a number of Drew Rosenhaus's clients. Part of my reason for jumping in with Rosenhaus Sports was because they had, at that time, he had about 80 to 100 clients. And a lot of those guys were top picks. You talk about Ray Lewis, Jeremy Shockey, Clinton Portis, Javon Curse, all these names that I'm naming, you guys know. These are top guys in the league, and they were getting paid. And so I jumped at the opportunity, obviously, to get my full market value and get what I felt like I ultimately deserved based on the work that I was putting in the offseason. So for me, man, I want to be able to shed light really on some of the crooked agents out there, the ones that I know I've dealt with, Drew Rosenhaus and his firm. Again, back in, I think, 2014 here in Miami, we tried to reach a settlement because of, I felt like there was some involvement with him. He recommended or referred Jeff Rubin to me. And so as a result of, I lost a lot of money because of that. I know because I've gone into talking to my lawyers, attorneys, being in mediation and things of that nature, not privy to the public. There were things being said that I knew that they were aware of. And so, again, entered into a non-disclosure about certain things. And then, like I said, money that was supposed to be transferred or being paid to me as a settlement, they tried to, it was so sneaky the way that how they can manipulate and try to deceive from a standpoint of, they didn't want the settlement to be a settlement. They wanted to try to make it look like it was.
They were not at fault.
Yes. And when in doing that, they wanted to hire me as a consultant. So if anybody found out or did some research on this, that it didn't look like they paid me as a settlement. And so, bro, I sent you earlier to your phone. I'm like, yo, just to show you that I'm not blowing smoke. I don't lie. I don't have no reason to. From my attorney about certain things that they wanted me to say, and I said no, because I wasn't in agreement with that. I don't care how much money it was. And so for me, I feel like guys, parents, especially parents, uncles, we talk about moms, dads, granddads, people that are in support of their kids going into the league. And again, like I said, if you don't have that financial literacy, that financial background to understand what you're getting into, how to manage your financial portfolio, you're going to find yourself in a situation just like me and just like others have, putting your trust into these agents, putting your trust into these financial advisors. So if there's anything that I regret throughout the course of my career, emphatically, is not doing the due diligence of the agents that I hired and then holding them accountable. And so again, at the end of the day, if I wasn't the Hall of Famer, bro, I no lie, I would be struggling. I would probably be struggling. Well, probably not, because I'm handsome and I'm kind of smart and I'm kind of
and you can wine and dine Olivia too.
Right. And I'm kind of smart. So I would have created and tried to find something to make ends meet. But at the end of the day, I would be literally trying to make ends meet if I wasn't the Hall of Famer that I was on that football field. Because of the opportunity that football gave me, I now have other business opportunities that have come to me and have come to fruition because of what I did on the football field. But at the end of the day, I stress to a lot of these moms and dads, uncles, grandmas and granddads out there that are watching Behind the Mask podcast. I appreciate this platform to be able to share some of the things that I've gone through. Because at the end of the day, bro, trust me, I lost so much money, bro. There were some dark days when you talk about, and it ain't got nothing to do with no CTE, no nothing. It's just the fact that these people they took it full advantage of really the inexperience and just the lack of knowledge that I had as an athlete. And again, these agents, they know what has transpired. When you talk about Drew and Jason, dude, I had no issues with them when I played with them. And then when things hit the fan, bro, then they want to come out and start to say negative things. Bro, I barely even talked to my agents. And I lived right here in Miami. Jeff Rubin lived in Fort Lauderdale. I lived in Sunny Isles, and 20 minutes from Drew and Jason, they didn't live too far from me. Bro, I can count on one hand out of the year and a half that I was with them and I lived in Miami. I can count on probably one hand how many times that I actually saw them. And then after all the things that hit the fan, they wanted to say, they started to say all these negative things about me, when none of that was ever the case throughout the course of the time that they were representing me. Bro, I was nothing but a professional. I was doing my thing in Miami, working out, doing what I needed to do to become the best athlete that I could. Like I said, there was an NDA that they drew up that I wouldn't say any disparaging remarks and things of that nature about them. The reason I'm talking about it now is because they breached that agreement based on something they saw, because at one point in time they were representing Antonio Brown. And so with our agreement, again, they said I was not to say anything disparaging against them because of the settlement. So they were trolling, I guess. They were having some tension with AB. AB posted something, and so I responded to that post. And so with me, I responded to AB's post, and it was something in general. I mentioned something about whatever it was, and then I said agent. And so they took it upon themselves to interpret me saying agent as if I was talking about them.
Damn.
But I was just talking in general. So with our agreement, for me, they stopped paying me. They stopped paying me because they saw that as me breaching the agreement, that I was saying something disparaging against them. And that's not what I said. So they had my attorney call me and address the issue. And I told my attorney, I said, dude, I said, read my statement. I said, yes, I can get where it can look like, or they can interpret, or they think, or they try to determine that it said, or it was meant for them. I said, but I was speaking in general. I didn't say no specific names. So if I wanted to talk about Drew Rosenhaus, then that's what I would have said. So it went back and forth for a couple of weeks, and they stopped paying me. So for me, when they paying me, that was a breach in itself. So right now, I am not even worried about them listening to what I'm saying and trying to go after me, because they stopped paying me. And in that agreement, if they stopped paying me, if they were late for a certain amount of days or whatever, they were supposed to pay me 10% plus whatever. So I don't really care, really, to be honest, how it may come out or how it looks, but I want to be able to tell and share my story with a lot of these athletes out here that honestly have obviously, I'm sure, have been told the same thing by different agents or what have you. But manage your portfolio, stay on top of these guys, and again, like I said, you won't end up in a situation like myself and others.
Wow, that's heavy, man. Like, we've all had our situations where we've dealt with either agents or people that, say they want to have our best interests at hand and kind of they betray our trust. And that's the hardest part, bro. You know what I mean? So I definitely feel for you. We appreciate you telling your story, really going behind the mask, man.
Trust me, it's not a problem. Like I said, man, I feel like, honestly, like I said, I told Spikes, I said, man, I prayed on this. And like I said, I think the wrong thing to say is to say nothing. Right. That would be the wrong thing to do. And I feel like I have a responsibility to share my story. And because, again, I'm sure there are a lot of guys, again, that have, like I said, they're going to be told the same thing that I was told, or you guys were told, and they're going to actually believe it. And then, like I said, Drew and Jason, again, trust me, they know what's at stake. I'm sure they're probably not going to go out right now and try to manipulate or do anything faulty right now, but they're going to probably try to find the right one that's not paying attention and do the same thing. Bro, it was so much information that I saw and I heard in that mediation that, trust me, I have no problem calling these guys a snake. And the fact that they tried to basically create a scenario where if somebody were to research what I'm talking about, they were going to try to protect themselves from a verbiage standpoint, to say that I paid him X amount of dollars as a consultant. Bro, they wanted me, after all the things that they did to me, bro, especially when they had my mama come to Florida. They had my mama come to Florida, and I sent for her to be there for support for me. And bro, then they reneged on the actual settlement from the beginning, and then we had to come back and revisit like a few years later, bro. That was the icing on the cake for me. That was icing on the cake. And then the fact that they knew all the stuff that was going on, then they try to protect themselves, from the public standpoint by saying, oh, well, if somebody researches this, they're gonna see that we paid him, so they know that we're wrong if we pay them settlement. So they try to draw the language up to have me work as a consultant, and this was an ultimate slap in the face. They wanted to put on there, I'm training their future draft receivers. I'm like, what? Wow. Are you kidding me?
So they wanted to make it seem like in the end of the day, you were a part of it too, but not directly.
Yeah, exactly. So again, man, like I said, behind the mask, like I said, bro, it's behind everything. It's behind the man. And that's what I said. I wanted to just share that story. And like I said, I have no reason to hide. At the end of the day, like I said, people want to say this and that about T.O. At the end of the day, bro, I mind my own business. I stay in my lane. I feel like I've been blessed to do a lot of things. The NFL obviously has afforded me a lot of opportunity to do the things that I've done. Bless my family, bless my friends, and bless others. I've even blessed some strangers, to be quite honest with you. So for me, man, I just thank God for where I am right now, and thank God for just the platforms that like this to be able to share our stories. I know, like I said, these platforms can be used to really kind of disclose and share a number of topics about different things and what have you. But this is part of who we are. This has been part of our lives for a number of years. So yeah, we talk about wine. We can talk about, any and everything else. But this is part of the life of really Hall of Famer, well-established, successful football players. Again, we all have had, some highs and lows throughout the course of our careers. And like I said, it doesn't come, without a little strife along the way. But that's what makes us who we are. When you talk about those December babies, man, when you talk about being born in December, that's who we are, man. That's who we are.
No doubt.
Cheers to that, my brother.
Salute.
Mm-hmm.
Let the audience know, man, about Get Your Popcorn podcast, where they can find it, where you streaming. Brother Hatch talk about. Y'all be getting it in, bro. We watching. We be watching.
No, for sure. I mean, I watch you guys too. I see you guys posting, promoting, branding, marketing, all that stuff. So it's hard to deny. You can't deny what you guys are bringing to the table. I mean, I've learned a lot about Spikes just through social media, things that I never even knew. I mean, he's into photography, all types of stuff. Who would know a big, chunky trap neck?
That's what the neck used to look like, bro.
Yeah, trap neck dude, walking around with a little measly camera trying to capture some photogenic, some people that's photogenic, trying to capture some nature, all types of stuff.
And I'm about to drop that heat for y'all too.
Yeah, but that's what these platforms are about, man. And when you talk about, what myself and Hatch are doing with my podcast, Get Your Popcorn Ready. Right now, we're on a little bit of a hiatus. We've done so well with our show that we're in negotiations with a couple of production companies. So right now, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll be back. We'll resume and get back on track. But that's a good thing to have. We're doing some good stuff. And so we're bringing a lot of great content to the show, to people. So again, with podcasts, it's not so heavily sports driven. We talk about a lot of the trending topics. Obviously, during the course of the summer last year, there was a lot of things that went on as far as obviously with George Floyd, a lot of things with the social injustice, social inequality. We try to bring a lot of evergreen topics, to the show as well. So we try to mix it up, man. Just because we're athletes, that doesn't mean that we can't provide, the public with a lot of content. So one thing I was saying that, thing about LeBron James, I don't agree that he's the greatest of all time. You guys, I've already told you, MJ and Kobe are my number 1 and 2. But one thing that I applaud LeBron James for is really his involvement in the community, really tackling the social issues that has plagued our community, our country over the last year or so. But one thing he has said, and he's calling, is like, we are more than athletes. And so I feel like, again, It's a duty of us being on this show. You guys hosting this thing. We're just not going to shut up and do whatever sport.
Right, man. Before we let you get out of here real quick, got to give you 2 shout-outs for 2 of our former guests. Nephew DK Metcalf said you was top 5 on his Mount Rushmore all time. So, you know what I'm saying? Got to give you a salute to that.
He said I was not.
Yeah, hell yeah, you was, man. He said you he said, what was it? OBJ, Julio. This is his top 5.
Yeah.
Megatron, Randy Moss,
and you.
Theo.
Oh my God!
And he broke down everything. He broke down everything, you did on the routes, how you go up and get it, snapping down on the breaks. 4 wide receivers that you looked up to or you felt were 4 the best of all times. Who would those 4 be?
T.O. He could take a little shallow cross, break 10 tackles, take it to the crib.
Big shout out from DK to you.
Oh, that's what's up, man. I mean, a lot of people now, we watch him. This guy right here, like I said, I didn't have his speed, going into the league. As he's basically taking the league by storm with. Obviously, when you talk about the size, the physical aspect of his game, which is so noticeable, that's something, again, like I said, when you talk about that, I use that to my advantage. But I got faster. I increased my speed year after year, especially after my 3rd or 4th year in the league. That was something that I wanted to really enhance. And so that's what I did with my off-season training. And I think, obviously, I'm saying we played against each other. You guys may have been able to witness that speed, near and far. But I ain't here to toot my own horn.
Hey,
I tell people, I try to tell these kids, man, I wasn't 4'2", 4'3" coming out of college, but when you saw me on that football field, I had what you call game speed. There are a lot of guys like DK Metcalf that he has that track speed and that game speed. There are a lot of guys that have track speed, but it doesn't translate, to the football field. So, again, when you talk about me being a late bloomer, all the things that I mentioned and alluded to earlier, that's something that I wanted to really be on the same level with, because the game of football, especially in the National Football League, and you guys know, at every level, from high school, from even Pee-wee, high school, junior high, high school, college, into the pros, the thing that separates the athletes is the speed. That's first and foremost, and then the skill set. But it's not also just about speed. But that was just something, a part of my game that I felt like, in order to kind of really separate myself from the pack, especially when you talk about that 1996 draft, which was a draft of basically a number of top receivers in the league. You guys go look that up. I was probably like 11 or 12, number 11 or 12 picked in that draft. So that was something that I wanted to be a part of. It's like because I realized I wasn't fast after my first 3 years in the league, especially my first rookie game. Man, I thought I was in a blender. Everybody was moving so fast around me, dude. I was like, what have I gotten myself into? So, bro, it made me nervous, because I'm like, man, if I'm not able to move as fast as these guys and get away, how am I going to be a receiver? Bro, I felt like I was moving like a tight end, but I was playing the receiver position. That's how fast it went around me. Trust me. That's how, bro. Trust me. That got me on point real quick.
Check this out. But in that 96,
I tell kids today, I wasn't 4'2", I wasn't 4'3", wasn't 4'4". I'm probably that now, but coming into the league, if you Google me, I've never been caught from behind. You've always seen me separate, and those are things that I worked on to in the offseason to enhance and better my game year after year. He basically assessed what I needed to do. I knew what I wanted to do, playing with the best receiver of all time in Jerry Rice, and so he set that bar, and so that's what I went for.
So, hey, you mentioned the 96 receivers. How much of that played into a part of like, how much am I really checking at the end of the day on Sunday what Eric Mose is doing, what Marvin Harrison is doing?
None, because they was on a different level than I was. Honestly, some guys, their skill set had progressed. It was on a different level than I was, bro. I steadily had to get better year in and year out. If you look at how Randy Moss stepped on the scene, bro, he was scoring what 15, 16, 17 touchdowns as a rookie. I probably didn't have 17 touchdowns in my 3 years. So that just tells you really kind of the elite these guys were on versus where I was. And so when I talk about my 3Ds, I truly mean that to heart. When I reflect back on my Hall of Fame career, to be ultimately inducted into the Hall of Fame, it's heavily on those 3Ds. I desire, number one. I had to dedicate myself, and I had to discipline myself. You knew, bro, I lived in Atlanta for a number of years.
Yep.
In the off season, yeah, those couple of months where I used that to kind of do what I wanted to do, eat what I wanted to eat. But when April came, that was when I was on another level. I ate healthy. I didn't do no drinking. I still partied, I hung out, but I knew I had to go work out the next day. So that was where that dedication came into play. When you talk about discipline, a lot of these kids don't know about discipline. They can have the desire all day long, but they don't want to apply the work that's needed to get them to the success of myself, you two guys, whomever they're looking at or whomever they idolize. They just see the end result, and they don't want to go through the process. For me, I fell in love with the process of success once I started to see what it was like. My first 3 years, bro, I just did what every kid in America does going into the league, and probably what 80 to 90% of them do now. They eat whatever, drink whatever, no proper sleep. But once I became knowledgeable about really what my body needed, optimize my performance, bro, trust me, that discipline, when I went out and I went to clubs and guys were drinking in the club, popping bottles, this and that, the other, or they were eating fried chicken wings or whatever, bro, I'm drinking water, I'm drinking juice. Bro, I even had people laugh at me. I remember I'm in Visions. I'm in 112. They ordering wings, everything. I ordered a salad, mind me. Bro, hey. I'm ordering a salad. They thought I was weird.
Dog, I remember.
But for me, it's my discipline. Dude, I got so obsessed with the success that I was having after I had acquired my training after my my third year in the league.
Yep.
And he basically says, and I told him what I wanted to work on. I wanted to this was my mindset, because appearance, aesthetics, it goes a long way in a number of ways, in a number of things, in a lot of areas. And so for me, aesthetically, I told him, I was like, I want to work on my abs, my arms, my chest, and my calves. That was my first year, because I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to get bigger, faster, and stronger. And so after that, he basically kind of just watched every year what he thought I needed to work on, but speed was something that I lacked. I told you guys, my rookie year, my first 2 or 3 years, people were moving so fast around me. I'm like, yo, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. And then so you fast forward, man, I'm in the off season, I'm training, I'm doing this. He's teaching me how to eat, my nutrition. I started to see my results. It started to go through the roof. Once I started to see those results based on what I did, bro, it was obsessive. It was obsessive to the point that, like, people saw me, bro. I remember when I got in the league, the defensive backs, they said, when I walked in the locker room, they said, yo, did y'all see number 15? I was number 15 as a rookie. They was like, yo, y'all see this dude? They thought I played like safety or I played linebacker. And then they found out that I played receiver. Oh, they buckled up their chin straps real tight. So when you think about where I ended up, it was a process, bro. I fell in love with the process of becoming great. Once I started to really things that I needed, I saw the results of it. And like I said, it was just a relentless pursuit of greatness. When you talk about some of the guys that in prospective sports like baseball, basketball, soccer, whatever, boxing, there's a reason why they're on a whole lot of great athletes in those sports. There's only it's always a handful, and it's always those handfuls that they do something a little bit different. They're wired a little differently. And for me, like I said, I didn't talk about one of the, as one of the greatest with the likes of, Kobe and Deion Sanders and Jerry Rice and all the greats that have played the game. I had no earthly idea when I stepped on campus in 92 at UT Chattanooga, and when I left UT Chattanooga in 96 and stepped on the scene with the San Francisco 49ers in 96, had no idea that I was going to become a Hall of Famer. But like I said earlier, everything I went through in high school, everything that I went through in college, it motivated me, it inspired me. And that's what I wanted to do, and didn't realize really toward the end of my career, that's what I was doing for a younger generation, just as a lot of guys have watched, guys at our perspective, our positions, utilized them, basically looked at them as idols, just basically set the bar for them. I didn't know that that's what I was doing for a younger generation. And now people look at me just like people look at Michael Jordan, Takeo Tutan. Like people don't understand what they're doing while they're in the process of becoming someone. And so for me, I never knew that that's what I was doing. And so now I feel like it's a responsibility to do that, to motivate, to inspire, to give back. And when you talk about desire, dedication, and discipline is really key. You can have the desire all you want to, but if you're not willing to go through that process and really, really dedicate yourself in discipline, easier said than done. And discipline, like I said, is very, very key, because discipline is really the bridge between your goals and reaching your success. That's what discipline is.
You talked about that speed, brother. The whole world has seen you race Cheetah. You know what I'm saying? Get out there. You're right. You did get caught from behind by one of the fastest cats in the league. But we also had Justin Gatlin on the Behind the Mask podcast, and he said, T.O. don't want this smoke. They say they can beat you guys in the race. I think got the Cheetah. You know what I'm saying? I know T.O. been talking smack. Chad Johnson. These guys, they really think they can compete with you guys on the track, man.
Man, you know what? It's like you being born. You're an adult in the 1940s and you see a Ferrari pull up. That shit just blow your mind. It just blow your mind. And that's how our speed is. Our speed is on a different level. You know what I mean? In 2 steps, we already 2 shoulder lengths in front of you. So, I mean, I entertain the fact, you know what I mean? I bring on all challenges. I love the race against football players. T.O. already know what time it is.
When we gonna make that happen, man? The race racism. When we gonna make it happen?
Hey, first of all, much respect to all those track athletes, those Olympic guys, but there's a reason why they run track, and a lot of them don't transition. They may have played, they may have played, football, Pop Warner, or somewhere in high school or whatever, but it's a reason why a lot of them don't make that transition, from track athlete to playing football. There's maybe a couple, but some of them a little do that. And it's all about transitioning. They can run a straight line, but can you have that COD, that change of direction? Can you transition in and out of routes? A lot of guys can't do that. And so when you talk about an Olympic athlete like Justin Gatlin, trust me, I challenged myself to do it. He said he would give me I think about the same amount of yards that Cheetah did. And he said he could get me. Yeah, he said he could get me in the 100 or the 100 meters. I said it doesn't matter to me because I'll be ready. But unfortunately, there's some things that came up. My list right now, my hit list is Brandon Marshall. He called me out. I mean, I named a couple of guys that, football-wise that I felt like, could compete or that had speed. He was one of those guys, and then he called me out and said, "Oh, well, let's put 100K on the line." So for me, I've been ready. People didn't even know. Honestly, and you guys may not have known this either. When I raced Cheetah, I was 7.5, almost probably 8 months removed from ACE. Nobody knew that. I hadn't run. I haven't done anything. All I had been doing up until that point is rehab. That's it. And so with Brandon Marshall, now he's come out. He's want to be part of the media. He want to try to manipulate the media and say that I'm scared or I'm mad. He trying to. First of all, he said I'm mad. No, I'm not mad, bro. He set 2 dates. I discussed it with him and his team, and he said, "Yo, the first date was November 21st. That didn't go." But he basically told me, I guess, the week that I did his show, that he wasn't ready. And then come to find, I guess, supposedly he had been training, putting all the film on social media, on his stories, like he was training, getting ready for the race. Then I do his show. He tells me supposedly he pulled his hamstring. So then he goes, "Oh, well, let's do it. Let's do it in about a month." He goes, "I need another month to train."
Dang, B Marsh.
So then he established the date 12/22 started. That's how I know these things. I'm very into it. I don't forget much. He said 12/22. I'm like, all right, cool. He goes on. He posts more clips on his story. Talking about, is he ready? Am I ready? Talking about we're gonna run for the 100K. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm down. Whatever. He's backed out twice. Now he goes to the media and tell people that I'm mad at him. No, I'm not mad, bro. I'm a person, like I said, like my boy, person of principle, bro. I'm a person of integrity. I'm a person of my word. If you say something, back it up, follow through with it. At the end of the day, bro, I'm taking time out of my schedule. Everybody's busy. You busy. I got kids. Y'all got kids. He got kids. Bro, we all busy. He going to try to say, oh, well, I'm busy as to why he's backed out of the race. Bro, you knew that from the beginning. If nothing else, just say you scared, because I'm not scared. At the end of the day, I'm gonna take my shades off for this one. Yeah. Because I'm gonna take Justin Gatlin's line. He don't want none of this smoke, bro. Trust me, he don't want none of this smoke. I would trust me.
You gotta get D-Mark on, dog.
But I got enough in the tank to run 60 yards, because that's what he wants to run. He doesn't want to run the 40. He doesn't want to run 100. So he said 60. I've never really run the 60, but I'll run it. It doesn't matter with me.
So you here to accommodate them the same way you accommodated your quarterbacks throughout the years. Exactly.
Like I said, bro. Like at the end of the day, he doesn't even want to consider that I'm one of the GOATs. But it's cool. I ain't got to be the GOAT. If you want to say there's only one GOAT, and that's Jerry Rice, but guess what? I fit the description too.
Can you wear that T-shirt in confidence? That's what I remember you saying.
Oh, exactly.
Hey, bro.
I don't think he can wear it in confidence.
I love it.
Really? What would you think?
I love it.
Can he wear the shirt in confidence? You heard what he said. He said he was like, no. He admitted it.
Exactly.
All of us are the GOATs from our own hood. Maybe from his own hood, he could be the GOAT. I'm the GOAT in my hood. I ain't no GOAT in the league though.
Right. I mean, yeah. If you want to go wear your GOAT in the hood, where ain't nobody where your hood thinks you the GOAT, then by all means, I got confidence to go on national TV or whatever and wear a GOAT hoodie. Designed by Deion Sanders' son, one of the greatest of all time. So again, if I didn't really feel that, if I wasn't put in those conversations, then yeah, I wouldn't put on the hoodie. But like I said, if you don't want to consider me, one of the GOATs, like my man said, I fit the description.
Hey, enough said, bro. My dog, I appreciate you hopping on with us, bro.
No.